Om. Name 900. Apyayah, the one in whom the entire mind, the Creator, rests. The Supreme Atman functioning through the total mind is the Creator, Brahmaji, each mind being ruled by its own vasanas. The total vasanas in the universe, causal body, is Maya, and the Supreme Self expressing through Maya, the total causal body, is Ishvara. Therefore, Sri Narayana, as it says, merges when the total mind rests during the pause between two busy cycles of creation and involvement in the projected world of thoughts, feelings, objects. In the north, this term is read as apyayah, avyayah, where the meaning is clear, immutable, and needs no explanation. 901. Swastidah, one who gives swasti to all his sincere devotees, who has discovered his fulfillment in seeking and gaining the infinite bliss that is Sri Hari. Naturally, he comes to turn away from the realms of inauspiciousness. He is to that degree in the bliss experience. Therefore, the Lord is termed as the giver of auspiciousness. 902. Swastikrut. As in many earlier terms, which were preceded by the suffix krut, here also it expands into two meanings: one who brings auspiciousness, or one who robs all auspiciousness. To the seeker who is moving towards the Narayan consciousness, his experience is of added joy and peace in life. But the one who seeks only sense gratification and so moves away from the reality, thus to him the experience is more and more sorrow, agitation, tears, and tragedies, total inauspiciousness. The indeclinable avyaya, Sanskrit word swasti means auspiciousness. 903. Swasti, one who is the source of all auspiciousness, as he himself the auspicious. In essence, his nature is Satchitananda, so there can be no cause for inauspiciousness therein. The individual functions within the powers of his avidya and so is under the infatuation of Maya, while the Lord rules over Maya and ईश्वराधीना हि माया अविद्याधीनतु जीवः धेनस्तु जीवः 904 Swasti Bhuk, one who constantly lives in his experience a perpetual sense of holy auspiciousness, as it is his very nature divine, interpreted as one who showers grace and makes his devotees constantly experience the auspicious. 905 Swasti Dakshinaha, Lord is ever engaged in smartly distributing auspiciousness. The word Dakshina has, apart from the meaning of gift, also a meaning one who is efficient and quick. Kshiprakashi, Therefore, the term indicates that Sri Narayan quickly and efficiently will reach his sincere seekers to give them the experience of auspiciousness which is the Lord's very nature. Stanza 97. Araudrak Kundali Chakri Vikrami Urjita Shasanaha Shabdatiga Shabdasaha Shishira Sharvari Karaha. 906. Araudraha. One who has none of the negative terrible urges and emotions. The state of perfection is a condition where the frailties of the mortal heart can never remain. The Lord is one in whom the cruelties which rule the man of the world, likes, dislikes, hatred, jealousies, and the other imperfections, can never abide or even be contained. 907. Kundali. Hence the Kundalini Shakti, the serpent power, the coiled mystic glory lying now inert, uninvoked at the base of the backbone in the deep pelvic region. Here the serpent may be taken as the thousand-tongued Ananta, on whom Sri Narayan is described as ever reclining in his yoga rest. In all religions, serpent, it seems, symbolizes the mind. In Hinduism, it is true, whether it is in Krishna's dance on the Kalyan serpent or Shiva wearing an ornaments. The serpent's Bhushana or Sri Hari resting upon Ananta. The idea is always the conquest of the mind, the poisonous serpent. 908. Chakri. He who wears ever his discus, called Sudarshana, auspicious vision. The Lord destroys with the discus only the foul and the low in us, and the individual naturally gains the experience divine, the self. 909. Vikrami. He who is more daring than all others. The term is also interpreted one who travels by air. The V means bird, famous in the allegory that Lord Vishnu travels on the back of the white naked eagle. 910. Urjita Shasanaha. One who commands with his hands, with his hand. His commands in the scriptures advise us firmly what is right to do and what are the destructive forces in each one of us. In case man decides to disobey his laws, he severely punishes him on all such occasions. Disobedience of laws is immediately followed by his loving curative punishment. It permits no exception, admits no circumstantial conditions. 911. Shabdatigaha. He who transcends all words, one who is indescribable. The Vedas themselves are but indications pointing to truth and are not explaining, describing, or even defining truth. The infinite and the eternal truth is beyond even the Vedas, beyond all that can be gained through even the highest faculties of the finite equipments, mind and intellect. 912. Shabdasaha. one who allows himself to be invoked by the Vedic declarations. If, however, the Upanishadic declarations are properly reflected and sincerely meditated upon, even though the Vedas have failed to define truth, their contemplative implications can transport us into the realm of the infinite experience divine. 913 Shishiraha. The term means winter. Shishiraha, the cold season in India. It is the cool season. Therefore, by suggestions, this name indicates that the Lord is the cool arbor for those who are tortured by the heat of samsara. 914 Sharvari Karaha. The word Sharvari means night or darkness. Therefore, the term defines the Lord as one who creates darkness to the mean of realization. The world of sorrows and pains, of strains and stresses, of worries and anxieties is unknown, while to those who live in their ego sense, to them the real is unknown. The unknown means veiled in darkness. The subtle meaning is clear now. या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागृति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः. That which is night to all beings, in that the self-controlled man wakes, where all beings are awake. That is the night for the sage Muni who sees. Gita 2.69. Stanza 98. Akrurah peshalo daksho dakshinakshamiणां वरः विद्वत्तमो वीतभयः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः. Name 915. Akrurah, never cruel. Cruelty comes from anger, and anger rises from desire. Could come anger, thus naturally never any cruelty. Generally, this term is interpreted as one who is of the form of the Yadava, Sri Akrura. Akrura was a great devotee of the Lord. Whenever there is any special glory in anyone, know that to be the manifestation of a part of my splendor, sings her Lord in Bhagavad Gita. Yajyad vibhuti mat sattvam srimadurjitapim mevava tattadevavagachatvam mama tejansha sambhavam. Gita 10.41. Thus, the term is interpreted as the Lord whose one ray of glory was the Kamsa employee, the Yadava Akrura. 916 Peshalah, one who is supremely soft in his infinite kindness and mercy. His heart divine is ever flowing out in love and tenderness towards his devotees. Ardently and lift themselves from their body consciousness and egocentric life of sense pursuits. 917 Dakshaha. This term stands for the quality of promptitude. In army training, the Sanskrit command Daksha is equal to attention, alertness, vigilance, and utter preparedness to act immediately with supreme urgency. All these are implied in that pose of attention. The Lord is Daksha in serving the world and in rushing to his sincere devotees, omnipotent and divinely efficient in his infinite smartness to reach and help all, at all times, everywhere, under every circumstance. is echoed in the charming suggestions of this chosen term in the Sahasranam of Sri Narayan, the self in all. 918 Dakshinaha, one who is most liberal. The term Dakshina is popularly used for the gift presented to the priests after a ritual as their fee. This giving must be done in a spirit of large hearted liberal charity so that very large indebtedness of mind, Dakshinya, Dakshinya Bhavaha, the attitude of large heartedness and the ability to be supremely liberal in giving away whatever one has for others is Dakshinya itself is the Lord, as it is the opposite of selfishness and attachment to the wealth. Attachment to the wealth which one possesses. One who has infinite kindness and charity towards all good people, and one who is thus ever ready to liberally give away his endless benevolence is Sri Narayan, the Dakshina. 919 Kshaminam Varaha, one who has the greatest amount of patience with the sinners and for forgiveness for their sins. Sri Narayan is more patient than highest patience. Kshama, he exhibits supreme patience with the evil minded, with the tyrant, the foul, and the fiendish. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and others of this type were given many fair opportunities to realize for themselves the folly of their baser attitudes to existing things and their immoral ways of life. It is only when no other method of treatment could cure them that the Lord destroyed them in His infinite kindness. 920 Vidvattamaha, one who has the greatest wisdom. There are wise men in the world. Each one also may be a master in his own subject. The Lord, the very consciousness illumining all bosoms simultaneously everywhere, is the one knowledge absolute, the knower of all knowledge, of all wise men, omniscient, infinite truth, is Sri Narayan, as he is pure knowledge by the light of which all knowledge is known. 921 Vita Bhaya, one who has lost all fears. Fear can come only from the sense of others. In Advait reality, there cannot be any fear as he is the one without a second. The state of Narayan consciousness is declared in all scriptures to be Abhaya, the fearless state. Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, one whose glory, when heard Shravana and sung Kirtana, causes merits Punya to grow in the bosom of that devotee. This statement of fact is never investigated deeply by students so they generally understand its superficial and obvious meaning only. By hearing with attention to the stories of the Lord, we must get ourselves involved in the listening, and thereafter we must reflect upon the glories of the Lord Bhagavat Guna, and thus expose ourselves to those re- recreative thoughts. Not only is it sufficient thus that we imbibe the qualities spiritual, but we must learn to get ourselves committed to the life of God centered activities. This is called true Kirtana, singing His glories. It is not to be a mere noisy chanting of hymns, a mere muttering of mantras. Through us, our physical activities, mental feelings, and intellectual thoughts must all shine forth the awareness of His divine presence that is in us at every moment, everywhere. The life of such a devotee will become himself in its dynamic beauty, love, and devoted tenderness, a constant worship, puja, a continuous akhanda hymn chanting kirtana in praise of the Lord of the Heart. Stanza 99 Uttarana दुष्कृतिः पुण्यो दुःस्वप्ननाशनः वीरः रक्षणस्तन्तो जीवनपर्यवस्थितः. Name 923 Uttaranaha, one who lifts us out of the ocean of change. We, by identifying ourselves, our body, mind, intellect, with the changing walls of matter around us, assume to ourselves the changes, and these provide us in their totality the horrible sorrow. On lifting our attention from the giddy changes in finite matter, when we fix it upon Him, the one consciousness that has that illumines all changes in all living creatures, we get uplifted into a state of immortality, changeless, blissful, supremely satisfying. Hence, Sri Narayana Tara Mantra lifts us from the cesspool of sense living into the serener climes of the lit up peaks of peace and perfection. 924 Dushkrutiha. Kruti means action, Dushkruti means bad action. When actions are undertaken, prompted by sensuous desires, they leave impressions, vasanas, and these always have a tendency to make us repeat similar actions. When one turns the mind towards Narayan, the in it self, he is emptied of his existing vasanas too, as Lord is indicated as the destroyer Ha of the scene. Nine 25 Punyaha supremely pure, one who purifies the heart of his devotee. removing all his sins, the pure hearted, to the portals of the final goal, the higher consciousness. 926. Duswapna Nashanah. One who destroys all bad dreams. The worst dream is the samsara. Perception of plurality is the horrible dream of terrible pangs, consuming fears and drowning sorrows. Dreams are explosions of the separations stored away in the subconscious. A real devotee exists in utter surrender unto the Lord. When his life is ever centered in Narayan's Marana, in such total and humble dedication, he has no chance of earning these separations. Since his subconscious mind is not loaded with half digested thoughts and unexpressed intentions, repressed desires and suppressed motives, immoral passions and covetous inclinations. He has no fearful dreams in his daily sleep. Ultimately, each seeker will rise above his little ego, enter into the plane of Narayan consciousness. Tareti iti taraha. Tara is that which saves, uplifts, regulates, revives, etc. 927. Viraha. One who ends the passage from womb to womb, the wheel of birth and death. Veera, innumerable fields of in countless ways. 928. Rakshanaha. One who is the protector of the universe. Among the Trinity, Vishnu is the protector, the sustainer of all the created, for the protection of the good, the destruction of the wicked, and the establishment of righteousness. He takes different incarnations. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. Gita 4.8. 929. Santah. This term, used in the plural numbers, indicates the good people. They are considered purity and scriptural knowledge. By using the plural form here, the import is that the holy beauty of Sri Narayan is found expressed in the glory of such a company of good and saintly. 930. Jivanaha. The life spark in all beings, living creatures, the flame that warms an individual, that warms an organism to life, is the presiding consciousness supreme, the permeating the earth. I support all beings by my energy, and having become the juicy moon, I nourish all herbs, is the declaration of Bhagavan. गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा उष्णामि चौषधे सर्वा सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः. Gita 15.13. 931. Paryavastitah. In all places, in all creatures he dwells. He is the final factor divine, beyond which there is nothing and upon which all else depends. Stanza Manyorvayapah Chaturasro Gabhiratma Vidisho Vaidisho Dishaha Name 932 Anantarupaha, one of infinite forms, the endless variety of forms constituting the world of objects are all projections in him. They are in their essence nothing but himself, just as the entire spread of our mind of the waker, and it is seen as many only in the dream plane of consciousness. So too the world of objects, emotions, and thoughts are all discovered as the oneself when the spiritual seeker before reawakens himself to the Narayan consciousness. 933 Ananta Shri, one who is full of infinite glories, or one who is full of incomparable powers. The main three powers which the Lord expresses in the world are desire power, Ichha Shakti, action power, Kriya Shakti, and the knowledge power, Jnana Shakti. These are expressions of His glory at our physical, mental, and intellectual levels. These three manifestations of His powers and their continuous interplay together weaves the fabric of the total dynamic expressions of life in their world. In the world, the self Sri Narayan, the one springboard for all these vibrant aspects of life. He, the omniscient, is called one of infinite forms. At the physical level, we express His Kriya Shakti, at our mental plane, His Ichha Shakti, and in our intellectual functions, we experience His Jnana Shakti. 934 Jitamanyuhu, one who has conquered anger, Manyuhu. It cannot be repeated too often, thus the significance is again given in the term that anger is one of the most overpowering enemies within us. One who has conquered anger is one who established in his own purity. In his own purity. Earlier, the technique of anger was explained that when a desire is unfulfilled, anger rises in a man's heart towards the obstacle between him and his desire. The self is all full, paripurna. It cannot feel any need, want, or desire the self. Then Sri Narayan is ever without the law and ruin called anger. 935 Bhayapaha in samsaric life. Naturally, Lord Narayan is the one sure harbor wherein the boat of life tossed mercilessly on the high seas of passions can find their calm of peace and total security. 936 Chaturasraha, one who deals squarely with all. The term Chaturasraha means a geometrical square or of equal sides Sri Narayan distributes the results of actions equally to all. Each one can get only the exact reward of his own previous actions. Thus, Narayan bestows justly and squarely upon all. 937 Gabhiratma, one who in his real nature is too deep to be, to be fathomed by the frail instrument of our mind. Depth here indicates profoundness, the supreme essence pervading the significance and glory. 938 Vidisha, one who is unique in his giving. He is divinely liberal, magnificently benevolent, in fulfilling the earnest desires of all his true devotees. 939 Vyadisha, one who is unique in his commanding power, one who orders even the phenomenal powers, the deities of gods. 940 Disha, one who advises and gives knowledge. It is the Self who is the author of the Vedas, nay, the very theme and essence of the Vedas. Lord Narayan, in the form of the Shruti texts, gives to man the knowledge of the self. Verse 101, stanza 101. Anadir bhurbo lakshmi suviro ruchirangadaha janano janagam janano jana जन्मादेर भीम पराक्रमः निम्नं गंभीरम. All are synonyms according to Amarkosha. Anadihi, one who is the first cause and who is himself the uncaused, the eternal, the beginningless is Sri Narayan. 942 Bhurbhuva, the very substratum or support for the earth. Since earth revolves in space, we can say that he who is both earth and space, in which the universe exists and revolves, is the Supreme Narayan. 943 Lakshmi, he, one who is the wealth, the riches or glory of that universe. Of the universe. If self were not, then all would have been inert, unborn, dead, as the one life everywhere, as pure existence. All the glories of this dynamic universe are in him and from him alone. There is a reading wherein the term 942 to 943 and 943 are coupled. Bhur Lakshmi, in which case their combined meaning would be one who is the glory of the universe and is for the interspace everywhere. 944 Suviraha, one who moves through various ways which are all divinely glorious, or one who exhibits in all his incarnations the imitable splendor of valor in his actions and achievements. 943 Ruchirangadaha, one who wears resplendent shoulder caps, a kind of ornament used by ancient Indian kings to protect their upper arms and shoulders from their enemies slashing swords. In 946, Jananaha, he who delivers all living creatures, Lord Sri Narayan, is the great father of all living beings. Pitasi lokasya characharasya. Gita 11.43. As all the universe comes from him alone, he alone was before all creation. From him alone everything hath risen. In him everything exists, is nurtured. Thus, as the very progenitor of the universe, Sri Narayan, the Self, is the only Jagat Ishvara, Lord of the universe. 947. Jana Janmadi, one who is the sole cause of birth for all living creatures in the universe. The immediate cause is, of course, the vasanas of each being, but the real and ultimate cause is 948. Bhima, one whose form is terrible and frightening to the sinners. Oh, glorious Sir, seeing your wonderful but awesome form, the whole world is shuddering with fear, cried Arjun upon beholding the cosmic form of the Lord. आधारनिलहे दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदं लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन्. Gita 11.20. Upon beholding the cosmic form of the Lord, he adds, having seen thy immeasurable form, the worlds are terrified, and so am I. Rupam mahate bahoktra netram mahabaho bahubahurupadam bahudaram bahudavashtra karalam drishtva loka pravethitas tathaham. Gita 11.20. Gita 11.23. Again, on seeing thee touching the sky, my heart is stricken with dread, and I find no courage nor peace. O Vishnu, नवस्पृशं दीप्तमनेकवर्णं व्यात्ताननाय दीप्तविशालनेत्रं दृष्ट्वा हि त्वां प्रव्यथितान्तरात्मा धृतिं न विन्दामि शमं च विष्णु. 949. Bhima Parakramah, one whose prowess is irresistible and fearful to his enemies. Stanza 102. आधार निलयो धाता पुष्पहास प्रजागरः नवप्रणः. 950. Adhara Nilayah, one who is the fundamental sustainer, the support for all that exists, all things and all things are supported. All things and all beings are supported by the earth, which itself rests upon the Lord, its substratum. It is upon the Lord, the Self, that each mind projects the entire world of names and forms. 951. Adhata, above whom there is no other to control or to complain, or to control or to command. One who is the supreme controller of all. He is the law, the eternal truth is that the law and the lawgiver are one and the same. उस देखो कैसे रखते हैं 952 Pushpahasa. He who shines like an opening flower, the bud opens and manifests into the bloom. The flower was unmanifest in the bud, since the Lord at the time of the deluge existed as the total unmanifest, and thereafter, at the maturity of the vasanas, opens up as the manifest world of things and beings. He came to be indicated by the term 953 Prajagaraha, ever awakened. He who knows no sleep. Sleep means non apprehension. This non apprehension of reality is called avidya, nescience, which produces our misconception of I and mine, and the world of pains and shocks. Since Narayan is the self, he is ever available and is never asleep to his eternal divine nature. 954 Urdhvagaha, one who is on goes high, for he is the highest truth, the summit of evolution. One who goes higher and higher is called Urdhvagaha. Urdhvam gachanti iti Urdhvagaha. 955 Satpatha Charaha, one who walks the path of truth, a path which others implicitly follow to reach the truth infinite. Wherever an adored one does, other people will implicitly follow. Once Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Yadyadacharati Shreshtastattvadeta Rajana, Lord is the standard of perfection and all devotees place him as the ideal, trying to imitate in their own lives his absolute goodness, absolute love, and absolute peace. 956 Pranadaha, one who gives prana to all. The term prana in our shastras means physiological functions, the manifestations of life in man. Therefore, Narayan the self is the vital source from which all sense organs, mind and intellect borrow their power of perception, capacities of feeling, and their faculties of thinking and understanding. 957 Pranavaha, Omkara is Pranava. The infinite reality is indicated by Om in the Vedas. Om is the manifesting sound of the Supreme Self. Therefore, Sri Narayan is called Pranavaha, meaning he is of the nature of Omkara. Omkara Swarupo hi Narayana. 958 Panaha, the supreme manager of the universe. The root Pana means to transact by giving the exact rewards for all actions. Lord both orders and justly manages all activities of each individual and directly supervises the interactions between individuals and things, constituting this scientifically precise universe. Stanza 103. Pramanam prananilayah pranavrit pranajivanah Tattvam tattvavidekatma janma mrityu jaratikah. 959. Pramanam, he whose very form is the Vedas, which are the only proof for the eternal reality. Or we may read it, he who is the pure infinite consciousness, Pramanam, as we have it in the great commandment. Consciousness is the infinite reality. Prajnanam Brahma. 960. Prananilayah, he in whom all pranas stand established. He who is the very substratum, vital foundation for all activities, manifested in the living organism. 961. Pranabhrut, he who rules over all pranas. Sri Hari is the one who feel energized, act, achieve the fruits thereof, grow old and die. In all these activities, the great one, commanding factor divine Sri Narayan, the self, presides in silent detachment, and by his presence he initiates and maintains all these activities in all living creatures upon the earth's surface. Nine 62. Prana Jivanaha, he who maintains the life breath in all living creatures. This interpretation is not a happy one, as this meaning has just come in the preceding endearing term. In love, of course, there is no rule that the lover should not repeat the same loving words to address his beloved, but we can find yet a new depth of suggestion if we understand this term to mean one who is the very life giving divine touch in every breath. 963. Tattvam, the reality, that which one gains in subjective realization is the self. Tattvam iti vijnanameva tattvam. Sri Narayana. 964. Tattvavit, one who has realized fully the reality, meaning the original essential nature of the self. On realizing the self, the individual becomes the self, and therefore Sri Narayan, that very self, is the one who has realized fully the reality which is his own nature divine. 965. Ekatma, the Advait reality. Narayan is the one self, the over soul, who expresses himself as the individualities of the infinite entitles in the universe. 966. Janma Mrityu Jaratigah, one who knows no change or modifications in himself. Every finite object in the world undergoes constant change, and each of them is extremely painful. They are birth, growth, decay, disease, and death. One who has none of these is the infinite and eternal, the changeless self, Sri Narayan, ever the same supreme. Gita thunders the nature of the self to be ever birthless and never dying. And once it has existed, self never becomes non existent. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यश्शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. He is not born, nor does he ever die. After having been, he again ceases not to be unborn, eternal, changeless, and ancient. He is not killed when the body is killed. Gita 2:20. सयो हवै तत्परमं ब्रह्मवेद ब्रह्मैव भवति. मुण्डकोपनिषद 3.2.9. Stanza 104. भूर्भुवस्वस्तरुस्तारः सविता प्रपितामहः यज्ञो यज्ञपतिर्यज्वा यज्वा यज्ञांगो यज्ञभावनः. 967. Of life existing in all this universe of the higher world, our world and the lower world. The famous Vedic terms Bhuti, Bhu, Bhava, Bhuva, and Suvaha connote the three worlds lokas. The word loka in Sanskrit means a field of experience. Therefore, in fact, these three terms called Vyahritis subjectively represent all our experiences in the waking, dream, and deep sleep states of consciousness. Vyahritis are mantras by which the Lord performs his constant yajna to nurture and nourish the universe. So this epithet has been given to Sri Narayan, the infinite self, the glorious essence, sap, that pervades the entire tree of life, flowing out to even embrace all experiences in all planes of consciousness, everywhere, in everything, at all times. 968. Taraha, one who helps all to cross over the eternal boatman, to whom, if the devotees can surrender in unswerving faith and true devotion, he will surely row them across the ocean of samsara through exclusive devoted meditation. Alert with understanding, the individuality in each of us wakes up to the higher plane, and there in that beatitude to experience Sri Hari. 969. Savita, he who is the father of all, who is the eternal father of the entire universe. 970. Prapitamaha, he who is the father of even the fathers of all beings, the creator Brahmaji of the Trinity. The Creator himself rose from the Absolute Self. Creator is known in our scriptural language as Pitamaha, the father. 971 Yajna, one whose very nature is yajna. The term yajna means work undertaken with a pure spirit of total dedication in complete cooperation with others and for the well being of all creatures and for the welfare of the world. Wherever there is such a cooperative endeavor with total selflessness, there is Sri Narayan in action through his 72 Yajnapatihi, the Lord of all Yajnas. I am the enjoyer in all Yajna. These are the joyous words of the Lord, who himself declares the enjoyer and the Lord in all yajnas am I. 973 Yajva, the one who performs yajna according to the strict preoccupations laid down in the Vedas, the one who maintains in all his divine actions the true yajna spirit. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhukta cha prabhureva cha, Gita 9.24 refers the meaning of yajna play. Gita 3 974 Yajnangaha, one whose yajna. In Harivansha we are told that these things Vedam Yupam are the very aspects of Lord Sri Narayan. 975 Yajnavahanaha, one who fulfills yajna in complete and exact accord with the Vedic instructions. Stanza 105 Yajnavrut Yajnakrut Yajni Yajnabhuk Yajna Sadhanaha Yajnantakrut Yajnaguhyam Annam Annadayevacha. 976 Yajnavrut, the ruler of the yajnas, the one who helps us to conclude successfully all our good, dedicated, selfless acts of service to others. Yajnas 977 Yajnakrut, one who performs yajna. The same term can also mean one who destroys the yajna. The term yajna connotes all noble and divine actions of service and love undertaken in a pure sense of God dedication, selflessness and joy. Lord issued forth the creation of an act of yajna as an act of yajna, and in the end he must also undertake the total dissolution of this very yajna. Sometimes this is interpreted as one who performs the yajnas of the good people and one who destroys the yajnas of the evil-minded folk. 978 Yajni, one who is the constant enjoyer of the perpetual yajnas in all yajnas, because every act is Narayan centered, God dedicated to him alone in the attribute of being the only single enjoyer. 979 Yajna Bhuk, all that is offered into the sacred fire during a yajna, though with an invocation to any of the deities. And joy goes to him alone, the one receiver of all, are but Narayan in different forms. 980 Yajna Sadhana. One who fulfills all yajnas, it is by his grace alone all noble endeavors undertaken in an honest and true sincerity gain spectacular success. 981 Yajnantakrut. One who performs the last concluding act in all yajnas. The final item in a yajna is the when Sri Narayan is reverently and earnestly invoked. Without this prayerful plate, Sri Hari, therefore, सह यज्ञाः सृष्ट्वा पूर्वोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यत्वमेष गोष्ठिष्टकामधुक्. Prajapati, the creator, having in the beginning of creation created mankind together with sacrifices, said, by this shall you propagate, let this be the milk cow of your desire, Kamadhenu, Kamadhuk, the cow which yields all desired objects. Gita 3.10. यज्ञ साधनः 981 यज्ञान्तकृत therefore is of the form of Purnahuti, in the sense of that when total surrender is accomplished, the transcendental experience of the self, Narayan alone, manifest in all his divine splendor. Some commentators have, however, taken the meaning of the Yajna Anta not as the not as the last item in yajna, but as anta, the fruit of the yajna, by which they bestow the meaning that Narayan is the one who gives away the fruits of all Hari dedicated, selfless acts of love and service. 982 Yajna Guhyam. Sri Narayan is the most profound truth to be realized in all yajnas. The self is the most noble truth to be sought through offering all the dravya objects into the consciousness fire in the body kunda. This kind of subjective yajna is called in the Gita as knowledge yajna, Jnana yajna, the fire of newly kindled knowledge. whereinto we offer all false values and our immoral tendencies for burning into the effulgent self, thus divine knowledge. This is also called in the Vedas as Brahma Yajna. Jaya Raghuram Janaki Jeevan Sundar Ram Devaganarchita 983 Annam. One who has himself become the food. Sense objects which are the food consumed by the sense organs. As a verb, it can be used at the time of the great dissolution. At that time, he is the one in whom the world remains absorbed in pralaya, just as our individual world each day gets dissolved in our sleep. The one in whom alone the world of names and forms can remain in their seed form is Srinarayan the Self. 984 Annadaha, one who eats the food. Not only the objective world is the projection of on Narayan, but the subjective enjoy of the individuality, the ego that experiences is also Narayana. The self functioning through the equipments is the Jiva Atman, the individuality in each of us who experiences. Thus, the self is both food annam and eater of food annadaha. Just as our own waking mind becomes the experiencer and experienced in our dream world. Stanza 106. आत्मयोनि स्वयं जातो वैखानस्सामगायनः देवकी नन्दनस्रष्टाक्षितीश पापनाशनः. One who is himself the material cause, upadan karan, for himself the self-born, the uncaused cause. 986 Swayamjataha, one who as the Lord of the universe has no further instrumental cause, nimitta karan, in projecting himself. Three causes are necessary in all creation. In the pluralistic world, the material cause mud, the instrumental cause wheel, and the efficient cause the pot maker. In Sri Narayana's self-projection, as in the dream, that all these three causes are he himself, is shown in these terms. 987 Vaikhanaha, the one who dug through the earth, cutting through the denseness of the grass to reach, apprehend, and kill the subtle Hiranyaksha, the terrible and the monstrous who had tried to destroy the spiritual values in the world. The self has to reach us to destroy the ego in us and give us the liberation from our evil adherence to the body, mind, and intellect. 9. Ego is Jiva, Hiranya, gold, Aksha, eye. Therefore, the eye of all gold, meaning a mere view of enjoyments of the objects through the senses, Hiranyaksha, Hari alone can totally kill him. 988 Samagayanaha, one who sings the Samo songs. 989 Devakinandanaha, he who appeared as both to Devaki in his incarnation as Krishna, and since Devaki could only enjoy the pranks and play of her blessed child in Gokula, Krishna is called as the joy of Devaki Nandana. 990 Srashta, one who creates, even the creator can perform his job only by drawing his abilities and capacities from the infinite self, Sri Narayana. 991 Sitesha, one who is the Lord of the earth. Sri Narayan is the husband of Mother Earth. He is her protector, her nurturer and nourisher. Here earth may stand for all that is gross, the entire Maya, and Narayan is the Lakshmipati. 992 Papanashanaha, meditating upon whom all vasanas sins are liquidated when an individual surrendering in love to him acts and fulfills his duties. All his existing vasanas are destroyed and no new ones. The theory of Karma Yoga in the Vedas, through meditation upon the self, all sins are dissolved and totally removed. Stanza 107 Shankhavranandaki Chakre Shangadhanva Gadadhara Prathangapani Rakshobhya Sarvaharnamitaha. 993 Shankhavrut, one who has the divine conch name Panchajanya, the word meaning of this term. Panchajanya is that which is born of the fire. 5. Sense organs. So it stands for the mind. Mind being the seat of ego. The Shastra declared that the conch in the divine hand of Sri Narayan is the ego factor, Ahankar Tattva, in our personality. 994 Nandaki. The Lord's sword is called Nandaka. Therefore, this term indicates one who holds and wields the Nandaka sword. The words Nandakam means that which brings bliss. The Shastras sing that this divine sword in the sacred hands of Lord Hari represents the knowledge spiritual, Vidya Tattva, with which a seeker can destroy all his ignorance of the self in him. 995 Chakri, one who carries the discus called Sudarshan. The term Sudarshan means that which gives the auspicious vision. The Shastras attribute to this discus divine the representation of the human mind. One who aims his unerring bow called Shanga. This bow of Narayan is glorified in our text as representing the ego as the apex of all the sense organs, Ahankar Tattva. In this concluding stanza, the instruments of blessing is Sri Narayana's hands are remembered with reverence and devotion. 997 Gadadhara, one who holds his divine clubness, celebrated as Kaumodaki, which generates and spreads beauty and joy. This mess is described as representing the intellect in man, Buddhi Tattva. 998 Rathangapani. The traditional meaning is, of course, one who has the wheel of the chariot as his weapon. This means the discus which already has been mentioned in this very stanza as Chakri. But there are others who would like to interpret this term in other ways. In a glorification hymn or devotional chant, repetition is no sin. In fact, it should be quite natural. 999 Akshobhyah. One who cannot be exasperated by anyone, by any act or acts, however blasphemous they may be. One whose peace and calm cannot be stormed out by any happening in his outer world. Ever peaceful, the term suggests infinite patience, love, and kindness towards man and his frailties. 1000 Sarva Praharana. He who has all implements for all kinds of assault and fight. No enemy can surprise him, the conqueror of all, one who has weapons to meet any missile, however powerful. Shri Sarvapraharana Om Namaiti. Om Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namah. सद्गुरवे नमः. श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय.